Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk about MATLAB functions. And functions are just ways to encapsulate an easy calculation that you may need to use many times within your program. That way you can easily reference this calculation without having to write it multiple times within the code. So let's take a look at this example program. So in one of our original lectures we created our first file called example program. And we did it by typing the word function, doing whitespace, and then doing end. But what you might not have known at that point is we were actually creating a function within MATLAB. And this function is actually a special type of function, and it's known as the driver function. The driver function is the first function that comes in all MATLAB programs, and it's the one that names the file. And this driver function serves the purpose of holding all calculations and calling all other functions that you might create. So if you want to create another function besides the driver function, what you do is you actually create a function below the driver function. So as you can see here, I've created this function here, and its name is myfunc. It takes in two input arguments, x and y, and so these are numbers we can plug in over and over to get our output value, and output value is what the function gives back to you. So what this function does is it multiplies whatever x and y are and returns it as the output value. So if we wanted to call this function within our driver, we could just write something like this. Maybe I want to call the output of this calling of the function the value. So I'll write the value is equal to myfunc, and I want to multiply 4 times 2 together. So I can do this. And so if I display the value, I should get 4 times 2. Good. So what we're able to do is we can plug in any values for x and y, and we can call this output whatever we want. So now we can reference the value within our main body program. But functions even have more power than this. Maybe we want more than one input or more than 2 inputs. Well, functions can take in as many inputs as you want, or they don't even have to take in inputs at all. Same goes with outputs. We can have one, none, or as many outputs as we want. If we want multiple outputs, we do something like this. We do square brackets, and then we put in the number of output values we want. So we can say output val1, and then we have to assign output val1 to be something. So I might say output val1 is equal to x to the power of y. And then when we call a function, if it has multiple output values, we have to make sure that the number of output values assigned here in the calling of the function matches. So I'll do something like this. The value and the value 1. So the value gets assigned to whatever this first output value is, and then the value 1 gets assigned to whatever this output value is. So I'm going to display both of them. So what we should see is we should see 4 times 2 to be the value, so 8, and then 4 to the power of 2, so 16 for the value 1. Let's run it again. And indeed we do get that. But let's say you have this multiple output function, but you don't even need to use all these output values. Well, MATLAB has a way of getting rid of that. So what you can do is you say, hey, maybe I don't need to use whatever this output value 1 is. You just don't need it. What you can do is you can put in a placeholder. And the placeholder is called the tilde. So it'll just ignore whatever that value is, and it won't return anything for that value. So if I did something like this, it'll ignore whatever the output val is, but it will still return output value 1. So if we run it again, we just get 16 this time. So functions are a great way of encapsulating small calculations you need to do. I would highly recommend thinking beforehand when you're writing code to make sure that you encapsulate any easy tasks into functions. Because if you don't do that early on, you're going to realize that you're writing the same code over and over and over again, and it's going to get very tedious. And as always, I'd recommend that you check out the MATLAB documentation. Here's a very good page that teaches a little bit more about functions, so I would suggest you guys look it over. And so I will see you guys in the next one.